What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 178. My name is Bret, aka Enigma 9011, and today we're going to be flying solo to talk some fun topics with you guys for this fun variety show. We're talking about Summer Game Fest. We're going to be talking about Infinity Saga for today's show. But if you guys want to catch the show live, you can always go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011. Drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live with the podcast or the regular streams of the week. But if you can't catch live, that's a-okay. You can go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week where it's broken up topic by topic and put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, anyway, you guys want to support the show on your podcast feeds or wherever, likes, comments, reviews, all that fun stuff, shares. It does seem small, but it does help the channel grow, helps out in a big way. So if you have the time to do that, we'll love and appreciate you for it. So yes, today, very different topics. Well, it's always very different topics. But let's jump into Summer Game Fest. As of recording, it happened 2 weeks ago, so we're a little behind at this point, which I do apologize for missing last week's technical when it's supposed to release. But yeah, let's jump into Summer Game Fest. There was a lot of games shown off, whether it was the Summer Game Fest itself, the Xbox Showcase, the indie showcases like Humble and Glitch and Day of the Devs, and Devolver. And we're not going to be breaking down every single game release because that would be crazy. I think someone out there said it was like 200 something updates or news that was shared about these titles. That would be insane to cover all that, and that is not my wheelhouse. So just wanted to talk about the event itself across the weekend, at least of its initial launch. We still have a few showcases to come coming up, like Annapurna at the end of the month. And I think there's some other ones, but I can't remember. And I didn't catch all of them either. Like, I didn't watch Ubisoft Forward. I didn't watch Glitch. I didn't watch Humble yet. The Starfield Direct I didn't really care for, so I didn't watch that. But just want to talk some games and announcements that caught my eye. Things I want to talk about. Things that I'm looking forward to with the upcoming releases. And let's get the big one out of the way first, just because not too long ago we talked about the MK1 reveal, or announcement trailer. We finally got gameplay reveal here, so let's talk about it. So yes, Mortal Kombat 1 got its gameplay reveal, and we got a little bit of an interview with Ed Boon after the fact about the game. Game looks crazy, insane graphically, just like NetherRealm has kind of shown with their last couple of games from MKX, Injustice 2, MK11, and now with MK1. Continuing that trend of really pushing the graphic fidelity of these games, and combat looks fluid, combos look longer, which is fun, at least on the not the receiving end, the giving end. Performing those, having that freedom and accessibility to it is great. Characters look fantastic. We got quite a reveal of the characters so far. So as of who we saw here, we saw Liu Kang, we had Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Kung Lao, Raiden, Johnny Cage, Katana, Melina, and a very different looking Kenshi. Were all involved in this trailer. Some things to point out story-wise that they either said verbally in the interview or we could pick up on this trailer. There are some story beats that are going to be different. Raiden still has his thunder, even though he's not the god of thunder or the protector of Earthrealm, at least with Liu Kang kind of taking that role. But he still has the thunder ability. From Ed Boon, we learned a slight change in the story that Scorpion and Sub-Zero are actually going to be brothers. In the past, I believe they were rival clans that were going against each other. So that's interesting to know that they'll be related in this one. And then Melina's story is going to change a little bit. We've seen she's still got the teeth and still kind of got the messed up mouth, but instead of her being a clone or experiment with the whole Shao Kahn and Shang Tsung thing, she has some kind of disease that has caused this look and appearance, and Katana seems to be concerned that this will get her thrown off of the throne, as Melina is now in charge. So she's looking out for her sister there, but we still have the clash between those two, as Melina takes it the opposite way and thinks this is just a way for Katana to push and nudge her out. So interesting story stuff. Obviously, we're learning there. There's still a whole lot more to come, as we'll get, September time? Yeah, when the game officially releases. So yeah, everybody looks super young. Makes sense. It's a reboot, or at least a retelling of the early stuff. And then we talked about characters already, but looking at the rosters, it looks like at launch we'll have 2 rosters. You have your main character fighters, and then you get to pick your cameo fighter after, which is kind of like an assist or a call-in character that you can't use all the time. There is a bit of a cooldown on it, but you can use it frequently in the match to either add to your combos, create an opening for yourself, whatever it may be. From those 2 rosters, it looks like we're going to have 24 on the main character roster that you can choose as a player to play as, and then we're going to have 16 cameo characters. The cameo character seems to be nods to the older games, and the confirmed cameo fighters that we at least saw in this reveal trailer were Sonya, Kano, Goro, Stryker, and Sub-Zero. So some of them are going to be on both rosters, as we see with Sub-Zero here. I can't speak upon the other 4 if they're going to make the main roster. Obviously, time will tell. But yeah, it seemed the reveal trailer, the gameplay trailer was awesome. I definitely do need to go back and watch it again just because it's been a while. And I know a lot of content creators did get hands-on experience with it, like Maximilian Dude and a lot of other people in the FGC community. So everybody I've seen quick glances, they've really enjoyed their time with it. I don't know specifics of how they thought the cameo thing worked or played out. But if you want more, you can check out those people and search those contents. Search that content and get your fix there. Ed Boon also said they had plenty of more announcements to come, which that's kind of how NetherRealm has done their reveals, is they will be very open and have like these kind of they'll have stress tests, they'll have beta tests, but they'll also have like live streams where the developers talk about and break down either a character or 2 and show off really their moveset and give a little backstory and things. So I don't know if they're going to be doing that. They did it with Injustice 2. I think they did it with MK11. So we'll have to see if they do it again. Tyler and the crew there, which hopefully they do. But there'll be plenty of updates to come throughout the summer as we lead up to the September release. So looking forward to it. Very excited for that, and obviously we'll see more characters down the road with the DLC. So yeah, that was the first big one for me from Summer Game Fest. I'm glad they got right to it as well, because that was my number 1 to see. So that was, I think, their second reveal of the night. Something else that caught my attention was Alan Wake 2. We got to see some gameplay here for a first reveal. It wasn't too much, and I know a lot of people are like not skeptical of it, but they're like, I wish we saw more, whatever it is. I agree, seeing more would have been nice, but for someone who wasn't really interested in the game just because I haven't played the first Alan Wake or really much of Remedy's titles, I haven't played what's the is the one, it's the redheaded woman, she's like a detective, but it's like spectral detective, came out a few years ago. I don't know. But I've heard good things about the titles, just haven't played them myself. But this game looked really, really pretty. So I'll keep an eye on it. It's going to be launching this year on October 17th. I think the game I was thinking of was Control. Feels like I knew it started with a C. But yeah, it caught my attention just with, once again, how it looks. The game director, I believe, came out after and talked a little bit about the story, how Alan's going to be part of it, obviously. And then Saga, this other character that we saw gameplay for in this trailer, it's going to be kind of like a parallel storyline where there will be story beats that cross over, but you can play which character, choose to play which character at any time and kind of go through their story path. So yeah, looked pretty. I have to keep an eye on it and see if maybe that's something eventually we'll dive into. But another big one, Spider-Man 2, we saw that at the PlayStation Showcase. It looks fantastic. We finally got gameplay there. But here we got a little bit more information, some screenshots from, once again, I believe the game director. I could be wrong. So we got the release date. The release date is going to be October of this year, October 20th. So fantastic. Hey, there. Pre-orders all went up. If you got the giant 19-inch statue from PlayStation Direct, good on you. Seemed like it broke the site when it went live. But some interesting things that we learned from the small interview we got here. The city, first off, doubled in size. So we still have the New York City, Manhattan area, but we're also going to be getting Queens and Brooklyn, in this. So more map to go around, discover, and swing about. And then we also got confirmation that Venom is not Eddie Brock. Now, if you haven't played the Spider-Man games and don't want to be spoiled, skip a minute, maybe 30 seconds. Okay, I'm going to go quick. 30 seconds. We already talked about Harry Osborn. He's being sick. He's infected. We saw how the Venom thing with him, how that might go off of go off of Harry, go on to Peter, and then he's going to be fine. Okay. So we know that already if we've played it, watched all the stuff. And Jeff possibly with a spoiler of who he thought it would be. I don't know if that will actually be it. But we just at least have that confirmation that it is not Eddie Brock in this universe. I thought maybe we saw Eddie Brock in the gameplay trailer on the boat, or if that was just, some random reporter. So the character could still be in it, just Venom will not be him. Speaking of Venom, we saw our first screenshot of him. Seems like they're going the ultimate route where, traditional color scheme and layout, but he's big. He's a big guy, and he's jacked, and he's going to kick the shit out of us. So we got the release date, got the pre-orders, all that stuff finally live. So great to know about that. Then another one that caught my attention was Pal World. Now this one's a weird one because it's not like excitement. It looked interesting. This one just makes me scratch my head. So Pal World comes to early access in January is what we got here. It is a monster capturing game where all of the monsters have guns or weaponry to fight it out with. This game is Pokemon in every essence. And I'm curious how Pokemon is not suing them or the Nintendo company. Obviously, the monsters look different, but there are so many of them that I looked at in this trailer. I'm like, that's a Vulpix. That's a Pikachu. That's Eevee. Like, it's like, hey, I didn't do my homework. Can I borrow yours? Yeah, sure. Just don't copy it verbatim. Like, like you could pick up on a lot of them, and I'm just like scratching my head, wondering how legally this is fine. And also, they have the same capturing mechanic. They even show like a Pokeball looking thing capturing these monsters, and I don't know. I'm intrigued because, like I said, it looked cool. The visuals look cool of it. It's more of a question mark in my head of just like, how does this work? And there's other games that have taken what Game Freak has done and Nintendo has done with that Pokemon mechanic, like Cassette Beasts. I've heard is a very good one. And then there's another indie title that's done it as well. But like, they're totally different, and they change things up in the game mechanics or open up game mechanics that like the Pokemon audience has wanted for a while in the main line games. This one, while I'm sure also adjust those things, just like, woo, was very questionable, especially on a big stage of like, wait a minute. Okay. Next one, and I think I got this one right. I probably should have researched it again prior to recording, but Banisher's Lord of Eden. I believe this is a game, I don't know who it's by, but it's a game that, maybe it's Ghosts of New Eden? Ghosts of New Eden. Whoopsie! Yes, this is the game I'm thinking about. It's from Focus Entertainment. It is essentially a story about a couple together, and they are going to kind of kill these monster things that are out in the open world. And it's the guy is the one doing it, but his wife has passed, and like they're working together to try and cleanse enough souls or get rid of enough evil that they can have this time to interact with each other. And you kind of see both aspects of the gameplay. While he's dealing with things in the physical world, she's dealing with things in the spiritual world. And I don't know, kind of seems like a very cool story that they're trying to tell. We got a reveal for this, I believe, back at Game Awards. Looked pretty, but this one got a little bit more in depth with the story, and we saw some gameplay there. So Banisher's Ghost of Eden, coming out at the end of this year, 2023. So looking forward to that. Exploring that story a little bit more. And then I'd say the last one for Summer Game Fest specifically, we ended on a big one. We ended on Final Fantasy VII, the Rebirth trailer. Saw some gameplay, saw some more stuff from Red 13, and just the characters there. Yuffie's back into play. This one I'm interested for, but the caveat, me being a big old slacker and the backlog being huge, I still haven't gone back and played, or rather finished, Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I really enjoyed my time with Remake. I really am happy for everybody who's getting these games, who grew up with the original Final Fantasy VII. But that's a series I need to get back into. I know, so Rebirth's coming out in December. There was one that came out, I think, last year with Zack and Cloud and more of the backstory there. I want to play that one. It's just one of those things like I need to get into and like focus on. And that sounds bad because like games shouldn't be a homework assignment or like you have to do these things. But I know I enjoyed my time with it. It's just one of those dumb things. I got distracted and on to the next thing. But everything here looks stunning. Very excited to continue that journey and see people continue that journey and the changes they're making in the story. So it's not one-to-one a remake of the original. Apparently it's going to be on 2 discs, which is insane. Well, okay, maybe not insane, but like could be a big title. I know similar games like Last of Us Part 2 was 2 discs. You had the installation disc and then you had the play disc. I'm curious if Rebirth will be the same or if it'll be 2 play discs. Wonder how big that file size will be, as we saw Jedi Survivor was like 100 plus on its own. Time will tell. But that's coming out early 2024. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Good stuff. After Summer Games Fest, we had Day of the Devs, so this is a little bit more indie-focused stuff, but still great games coming ahead. And the top one I think a lot of people are talking about, and the one I'll talk about, at least to start, is Beastie Ball. Beastie Ball, we talked about Pokemon earlier with Pal World. Beastie Ball is Pokemon playing volleyball and wrecking fools on the court. Yeah, that sounds weird, but that's what it is. So it's not about collecting the monsters. It's about finding a good team that you like and then building relationships in that team to kind of benefit each other and make your gameplay better on the court. So it's from Wishes Unlimited. It's from the people who made Chicory, which is another game I need to get back to, but it was a beautiful game for what I played of it. It's coming out in 2024, but yeah, it just looks really, really fun. Apparently they still have evolutions similar to Pokemon, but yeah, like I said, it's not a collecting game. It's just a matter of like, who do you want on your team? If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out. Seems like a lot of fun. An interesting kind of mashup of 2 titles. And with Day of the Devs and a lot of these indie titles, I feel like I'll be a little bit quicker on just because I don't know too much information about them. But we got another look at Viewfinder, which I believe we also saw at Game Awards once again. There's a demo out now on PlayStation, but it's a title where you are puzzle solving using different art and perspective. Similar to a Superliminal, I believe is Stanley Parable. You need to kind of work with the art and photographs that you find to create platforms for yourself for the platforming and puzzles ahead. Looks really cool. Looks great. Very artsy. Definitely want to check that out. Next one that caught my attention was Haunty from Moonloop, also coming out in 2024. Just an adorable little spirit ghosty game going around and dealing with the bad guys. Yeah, looked great. Once again, not a lot of info. My apologies. And then the last one, at least from the Day of the Devs, that caught my attention was Hellskate. This is pretty much Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Actually, one of the devs from Tony Hawk Underground, I believe, is working on it. And a roguelite. So you have timers, you're going through, I don't know how long the timer is, if it's like Tony Hawk specifically, where it's like a 2-minute run. But you go through, you're fighting demons, you're doing the skateboarding tricks, and you can progress roguelite wise. If you die, you know, rebuild or figure out what's going on and go through the different paths. Yeah, just it looks pretty and it looks fun. If you like Tony Hawk, this is definitely something up your alley. And then quickly, the last showcase I watched was the Xbox showcase. A few things here that caught my attention. Now, I don't have a newer Xbox, so I don't know how many of these things I will be actually playing, but there was some stuff that caught my attention, you know, that looked fun, looked great presentation-wise. I'll just address the elephant in the room. Starfield, I have no interest for, so I didn't watch the Direct. I didn't really check that out all that much. But the ones I did see that caught my attention, first one, they revealed from Compulsion Games a title called South of Midnight. As Rainbow says right in chat, South of Midnight looked cool. It did look very cool. It was a cinematic trailer, kind of setting up this bayou scene, this woman approaching this giant man, giant man, just kind of singing to himself, and she's hunting down this beast. Not sure if I already said it. If I did, I apologize, but it has this stop motion feel to it. So it has a very unique animation style and kind of almost claymation as well. But yeah, just a cinematic trailer here. We didn't get too much in terms of what's going on narrative-wise, except for this woman hunting down these monsters. Looks very cool. Art style is what's caught my attention here, and looking forward to seeing more. Next title they revealed was Star Wars Outlaws from Massive. Comes out in 2024. We got gameplay at UB Forward, which unfortunately I did not watch. But this seems, from hearing from other people like Joe from the Trophy Room, this seems like a Star Wars game that needs attention. It, like, not needs attention in a bad way, like needs your attention. It looks really good. It seems really intriguing. You are smugglers that are just taking on assignments and trying to deliver stuff while dealing with the Empire and what's going on in the world around you. This was a big surprise. I did not expect this title. I don't think a lot of people expected this title, at least from what I know. But it looks fantastic. It looks really good. If it's anything, not that it has to be exactly, but if it's similar in feel and fun to the Jedi games, the Jedi Fallen Order, the Jedi Survivor, obviously won't have the Jedi mechanic of force wielding and the lightsabers, but if the worlds feel lived in and built up and like fun, this is another one that's like, yeah, that's a very simple, like, wow, that's something I'll need to play. Looks very cool. So excited for that. And yeah, like I said, they showed gameplay at UB Forward, so if you're interested in that, you can check that out more over there. Really quick, we saw a quick teaser for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, a follow-up to Like a Dragon. Was it just like Yakuza Like a Dragon? Yeah, it was just Like a Dragon. So we're following up with the guy who has no name. We played it briefly on stream. Somehow it seems like he's in America. So just knowing the brief knowledge I have of the Yakuza series, it's always been, you know, in Japan. Seeing it come over to a Western area to kind of play around with and tell the story seems really cool. I enjoyed my time with Like a Dragon that I did play. So yeah, just excited to see more for Infinite Wealth. So that comes out in early 2024. So we'll have to see how that story plays out in the Americas. Now I'm going to bitch for a second. As we got Overwatch 2. Coming out August 10th, their next update. We have story modes, a new game mode called Flashpoint, a new hero, and co-op events. Now, Overwatch. I loved Overwatch. Loved is the correct term here, because past tense. I enjoy the gameplay. I enjoy when I play with friends and that, you know, kind of stuff. Recently, Blizzard announced that Overwatch 2 was not getting player versus environment stuff, which was the whole big point of Overwatch 2. They were going to revamp the multiplayer, they're going to revamp the graphics, and we're going to add single-player story content into this game. And everybody got really sad. Now, this announcement has me very confused because, okay, we're going to not do the single player stuff. Sorry, that's not in our budget, our time frame, whatever the hell. And then you proceed to show me single player content. Is this just the single player content the team had worked on, and then you're just releasing it and cutting your losses of like, this is what we had, and you're releasing it now? I'm really confused. The co-op events, we've had those before, which are fun. It's like a glimpse of what a PvE could have been. We had a lot of those in Overwatch 1. I'm so confused of like what that reveal was, because it seems great, and it seems like they're exploring this world of Overwatch, which the player base has wanted for a while. Not that anything was wrong with the multiplayer, obviously, but like, I want to know more about these characters and their history and their stories, and that was the point of the PvE. You could explore that if you so chose so as the player. And then hearing we're not getting that, but then seeing this trailer where we're seeing content like that just leaves me confused. So I don't know. I might be done with Overwatch. I've already uninstalled it from my PlayStation, and it sucks because Overwatch was a lot of fun. I know everybody, I think we've talked about this on podcasts before. Everyone had their own thoughts on the loot boxes. I could see the pros, I could see the cons. When they morphed over into Overwatch 2, I know battle passes are all the craze from a multiplayer standpoint. I get that. Those are also fun. It just seemed like it wasn't very rewarding or rewarding enough in Overwatch 2 to make it compelling to play. I don't know if progress was really slow in it, or just it just didn't seem rewarding enough in what they were giving you. I missed the loot boxes. At least with that, I don't know, I felt like I was getting stuff. Even if it was silly stuff, it was stuff nonetheless. And this, with things being limited for the season pass, excuse me, and the skins not really meaning all that much, or they're being now behind the paywall, it just was different. So I don't know. It's unfortunate, because there was definitely a lot of times put into Overwatch, but granted, maybe that also means, hey, it's time to move on. That's okay. And then the last thing that caught my attention from Xbox was, excuse me, was we saw Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, the DLC from CD Projekt Red, coming out September 26th. We got Keanu coming out there doing his whole quick chat, being cool. Games looks fantastic. CD Projekt has definitely put a lot of TLC. A lot of TLC into it, since obviously it's a chaotic launch. I haven't delved into Cyberpunk yet. I have a copy, got it cheap on PlayStation 4. Hope to do the upgrade and try it out on PS5 one of these days. But this has me more interested in diving into the world. Apparently this story is in the midst of the main storyline, so it's just an additive to this character that we're going on this journey with, and seeing what she gets involved with. So yeah, intrigued to dive into that on the 26th as we approach the fall season. But then again, there's a lot of stuff this fall. September and October are packed. And guess what? I lied to you, because there's one more here at the very bottom, at the very end. It's a quick one. But In Exile showed off their next game, and it's called Clockwork Revolution. If you guys have played BioShock Infinite, rightly so, they're getting a lot of comparisons to it. But this is a steampunk, future-esque world where it's a first-person shooter, and you are trying to take down this corrupt individual who is in power. And your choices will determine what happens in the world, as you'll jump forward in time, go back in time, because there is this time mechanic, and you'll see how things progress, whether enemies are more ruthless and aggressive, or things are run down in the city. It looks very cool. If you want to check out that trailer, I highly recommend it. No date or anything, just a very early look, but I think this is an Xbox Studios game, So depending on how this continues production-wise and how it like presents itself, this was my I might have to get an Xbox, which I don't need because there's enough games that I need to play, quote unquote. But it looks great. Happy, Xbox is getting some titles that look, in my opinion, look worth it. We've talked about the previous generation, like how Xbox One didn't feel super special in terms of exclusives. They finally seem to have steered the ship in the right direction. Obviously, acquiring Bethesda was huge, but now we finally are starting to see what the Xbox game studios that they've acquired over these years, what their projects are, and hopefully, they can get these titles out and try and push back against PlayStation a little bit, just because PlayStation has a lot of exclusives that are going for it and do very well. Hopefully Xbox can swing it back its way. Not that anybody needs to win necessarily the console wars or anything like that, but obviously more good content that's out there, it's just better for us as gamers, as players, whatever. It's just good stuff, and everybody can push themselves to do better and better and better, and we get more fun experiences. So yeah, that was Summer Games Fest in a nutshell. Just pretty much, like I said, what caught my attention. There are plenty of showcases out there. If you guys want to go back and watch any of those things or the trailers or whatever, like I said, you had the main Summer Game Fest, you had the PlayStation Showcase before it, you had the Xbox Showcase, you had Ubisoft Forward, you have Annapurna coming up at the end of the month, you have Glitch, you had Days of the Devs, you had the Devolver, Humble, there's so many. A lot of game announcements. You can find something that scratches the itch for you, whether it's big, whether it's indie, something in between, multiplayer, single player, it really doesn't matter. Check that stuff out, and let me know what you're interested in.